talking what would be my third favorite game, which is Final Fantasy VIII.
And you can have this one because I have nothing but negative things to say. Well, it's not nothing but negative things about it. It's another game that I broke, but...
No one broke it as hard. I'm just going to go out there. No one broke it as hard as... Matt had Lionheart by the end of the first disc.
You can get Lionheart before you can... You can get Lionheart before you leave the freaking garden.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
I mean...
He had that...
And you can get so much money that you don't know what to do with.
Well, money's just time invested in the game. That's all.
No, it's not.
Because it was you were on a timer for the paid in that game. It wasn't.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. But you can have so much money because you can just literally go through the entire quiz at the very beginning.
Yeah, because especially if the players got all the answers there like I did. Just saying, because I ain't reading that crap. Too much text. But he had that game so much of his bitch. I mean, he was level 100. Over, I forget when, but it was way before the end of the first disc.
Well, level gardening was easy because the enemies leveled with you.
Yes, I know. I don't know. It's just
again,
I think of how badly that game was broken by him.
I mean,
but the junction.
You literally draw 100 Ultimas to junction them to defense. So it's just like I'm immune to everything.
Strength, defense, one of those stats. Either way, it was a rank stat. But anyways, I liked the characters. I liked Renoa. I liked.
For that one, I'm going to smack you after this video.
I don't give a shit. The music was really good, but my favorite in the game was the flashback character Laguna. I really liked him. I don't think they can see that in the front.
It doesn't matter. There's a Laguna poster behind me.
But yeah, it was. Once I figured out what the hell was going on, because you didn't get any warning. It's just like, they're narcoleptic. They're in the forest and they're narcoleptic. That just happened.
And you have a tribal black man with guitars, a big fat oath that breaks things, and then Laguna.
Yeah, which I really his music, his fighting music. Or his theme music or whatever was probably my favorite in that easily in that game, if not Final Fantasy as a whole is some of my favorite music for that.
And I'll give, I mean, it's one of my most hated, if not my most hated Final Fantasy, and it's nothing to do with, I love the junctioning system, I like the Guardian Force system.
Right.
I actually like some of the characters minus Renoa. Renoa I want to smack, because Renoa's the girl in high school that I couldn't stand listening to all the time. It was the girl that would always come to me and be like, I broke up with my boyfriend, but I still like him, but I hate him.
Yeah.
And it's just, shut up.
It's like, don't be a poster child for abortion.
But... I kind of have an issue with Selfie, too, because she just kind of felt like I'm sugar high girl to be sugar high girl.
Yeah, I'll give you that. She did get on my nerves. The teacher chick was hot, too.
I like Quistis. Oh. And I honestly felt Squall deserved Quistis. Because she likes him.
Or she did for the first part of the game. She let it go after that.
Yeah, but you have... I liked Irving. I liked Quistis. Yeah. I liked Zell. My problem with Squall is that he's too introverted for a guy that's a leader.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
And and part of the reason why I guess their love story works is because he's almost as indecisive as she is. And it's not until she goes down that he's like, throw her on the back. We're going and getting her cured. And you spend, most of the third disc doing that?
Not most.
It's a good... You have her like that for a good while. And then they launch you into space, and that's when I give up on the storyline.
That was right there at the end, is the funny thing.
Yeah, that's right when Ultimecia wakes up.
Which, I mean... What was that guy? That whole... I don't know if they still do it. I remember that... It was called Ask a Ninja. It was a web series a guy did for a while. And I just remember one line. He said, it's like trying to explain Final Fantasy VIII to a lemon. So, I mean, the story is a little bit convoluted, I'm not going to lie.
It's not even convoluted. It doesn't make any sense.
Well, I was trying to be nice. But, I mean, the junctioning system for me was a major transition because I played 7 and 8 was the second one I'd ever gotten to play. So it was like, wait a second, where's the
I could have done without the drawing system. I mean, you can go through the game without actually drawing. That's the thing.
Well, you just to draw points.
Yeah,
So
well,
you have
there's
to draw
that,
from the
and you can
monster.
actually turn items into spells, and spells into items,
And cards and all that.
and things like that. So you can actually get away without drawing. It's just...
It's really annoying not
Yeah.
to. And I mean, if you got the aura spell on the whatever stat that was the aura affected, because you put it on there, it made a hell of a difference. Those limit breaks was where it was really at in that game.
Yeah.
And Noah had her version. I guess it was her version of Omni Slash, which was Doggy Slash, basically.
Yeah. And then you had...
Irvin's with the pulse ammo was off the chain.
I still like Zell's.
Zell's. I'm never
the
good
flash punch.
Yeah, I'm never good at the fighting game stuff, so I'm
But
just
it's the flash
I had
punch.
the auto stuff, and his version of yeah, and then there was his version with Lionheart, his version of Omni Slash, which is what it was basically.
Yep. And for those of you watching at home, there was a cut in between there, and I'm sure you've noticed there's two things that have been added. But
Because we realized that wait a
we
second,
didn't have them out here.
hey, we're working on quality for your benefit, for your viewing pleasure.
All right, but
so we're going into 9.
Yeah, I mean, we got to the point with 8 where I don't like the story, especially when you have to launch her into spaces where I just basically give up on it. It's just the whole, at that point, you completely lost me. Because it's just, it just gets, and I understand it's supposed to get more and more bizarre, but
it did that, I'll give it that.
It just...
The ending cutscene. I mean, now, I did read a theory somewhere.
Oh, the theory where he's dead the whole time?
Yeah, he dies at the end of the first disc, which, as much as I hate that because I really liked him and I didn't want that to happen, that makes a lot of fucking sense.
But it's not accurate. There's loopholes in the theory, and without having it directly in front of me, but me and Randy have talked about it, and there's stuff in the game that's clear that it's finished.
Well, that and the it's like the theory that Final Fantasy 3 was a stage play. I'm not Final Fantasy. Mario 3 was a stage play.
But it's set up like one.
I didn't say it wasn't.
I mean, its whole artistic style is based around the idea that the clouds are suspended.
Right.
The stuff is bolted onto the background, and there's a curtain that you run through at the end of every stage.
I know. I'm just, but we learned that from game theory, so hey.
Matt Pat, love you.
Yeah.
And then going into Final Fantasy IX, I love Final Fantasy IX. It has some flaws.
Okay.
But if there's something about that story, like, this story was good.
Right.
This story is confusing and not needs to be. This story is just good. There's, and some people hate the art style, and I can get that, because we went from very mature art to kind of goofy, cartoonish. But when you think about the context in which the story is being told, it makes sense.
It's like Final Fantasy babies, basically. They make their dreams come true. But other than that, I played through the first disc, into the second. It never really caught me. I never got into it, I guess you could say.
The first disc is very slow.
So because it's right when you get Freya and then.
Well, the first disc ends with the introduction of Kuja.
Yeah, I think.
And it's you go through that demolished town, and you get the introduction to the bad guys. He kicks your ass, and you're laying there in the rain and whatnot. But I love the setup. I love the fact that there's more than one airship, and I'm not just talking that you get. I mean, flying around. There's airships everywhere.
Airships everywhere.
I like the fact that the character isn't moody. He is. I have this. Essentially, he's Goku. I mean, they based him off of the Monkey King. He has an innate ability, or an innate need to help people and be good. Right. And the character's motivations feel more genuine. Right. That's the best way to...
He wasn't forced into it, basically.
Yeah, he was doing it because he wanted to do it. And even the character of Garnet/Dagger, her character is, I'm tired of being the prisoner princess.
Right.
I want out. I want to experience things. And then, of course, you get the whole thing with her and being the summoner and whatnot.
Right.
And all the characters have these arcs, and even Freya's arc, where she's chasing after her husband who's lost his memory. They all feel good. It is even the Black Mage. They did the Black Mage so good, because the Black Mage, and when Freya's like, what is he? He's different. He's weird. He's very reminiscent of the Black Mage of the first game.
What's the
then,
point?
then he's a doll. And it's like, well, that makes weird sense. But he's sentient. And he's the only one of them that is sentient. And then, of course, later you find the village where they're slowly becoming more sentient.
Right.
But there's something about that story that I really love. And I like the fact that we went back to class-based systems.
Yeah.
And the customization came in the form of abilities.
Right.
And you had the opportunity to gear yourself to every area you were in, provided you had the abilities for it.
Right.
And I liked a lot of what the game brought to the table. It had some severe loading times, and the combat could be atrociously slow at times, but I feel that the story and the characters far made up for those weaknesses.
It was nice to get 4 people in a party for combat at that point, too.
It was good to have 4 people in a combat system. It was nice to see them do something fun with summons, even though summons were all but useless. But I liked it. I liked the character arcs. I liked especially Dagger's arc. You know, the coming into terms with who she really is,
Right.
taking the reins of the kingdom, and then realizing, well, this has got to end, and doing the whole symbolic cutting of the hair thing.
Yeah.
And then having to go through a part of the game with the white mage unable to cast spells. That was a challenge.
I bet it was.
Now we're going to talk about 10. And 10 it's a mixed bag. Honestly, it's a great game. It plays good. It plays solid.
It is.
It's just a very simple story. But it's a great character story.
It is. And you know what Ultima?
You know what Ultima is?
You know what Ultima?
It's like, Lulu is pretty. Yuna's
yeah.
the girl next door, and you give Yuna Ultima, and Lulu suddenly becomes useless outside of her ability to dodge magic.
Yeah. But, I mean, I don't know. The story was good. It was really confusing till later on. It's like, cool, I have a really cool city. We're playing Drowned Ball. And then, after Drowned Ball happens, cool cinematics, and we're on a beach.
No, you're not on a beach.
What?
You're in the ruins.
Oh, yeah, you wake up in the ruins.
Because you get caught by ass count number 1.
Oh,
Spoony reference. Because something Final Fantasy X loves is showing us Riku's ass. Over and over and over.
What? No problems with that.
Also, the fact she's 14.
Okay, in 10 too, she's not.
Okay, she's 15.
Don't ruin my day for
I'm
me.
not ruining
15
your
will get
day.
you 20, and I don't want that. But I don't know. It was a good game. The summons were interesting in it.
I actually like the fact that summons were useful.
Besides just a one-off, I like the one-offs more. But the whole using them in combat and...
Well, it added a whole new element to it.
Yeah.
And I had this conversation with a guy at GameStop the other day, actually. He was talking about that he liked Lulu, he liked Tidus, he liked the story, he could have done without Yuna because he felt Yuna was a bad character and wasn't needed in the game.
Okay.
And my comment was, well, Yuna can remove your party from damage and do more damage than everybody else before being able to break damage cap. So explain to me how that's bad. I remove the party from damage, I soak damage because I have a creature out there that can, that likely is going to do more damage than the party does together, and then I desummon it, the party comes back and finishes the fight. Yuna was the best character in that game. You could make other characters more useful, but ultimately none of them had the summon ability, and that's what made her the best character in that game.
Kimari was useless, though.
Kimura was useless.
It's like, wow.
He is not only is he the blue mage of the game, but he also has no developmental cycle as far as the level up system goes. Once you're done with him, it's like, where do I want to go with him?
Yeah, and his thing was short too.
Yep. Again, he had no developmental cycle. He's the blue mage who was, I mean, it's like, And the fact that they let you play catch up later on, with like, oh, you missed all these?
Yes. Well, or be like Randy and just rewrite the damn spear grid. Yeah, there's a line.
Everybody rewrites the sphere grid.
No, well, not
You have empty nodes. They're there to be filled.
Not to the extent he did. Remember, he took away the nodes that were already there and replaced them with higher ones. He rebuilt the damn thing to that level.
I started doing that myself eventually.
Yeah, but he finished it. That's the problem.
He had them all with +4s and plus max.
It's like, good lord, even at breaking damage cap. Or damage cap plus or whatever. Good lord.
And that was one of the big draws to 10.
Right.
Was all the characters were useful to some degree, minus Kamari. And even he had points where he was somewhat useful. But like some people will sit there and go, well, Waka's useless. No, Waka is not useless.
Waka.
He's a little weird and a very bad character, but as far as video games characters go, he gets complete status element control.
Yep.
I mean, the only other character that really becomes non-essential, and there are a lot of people that are going to hate this.
I know what you're going to say.
It's Auron.
Yeah, that's not what I thought you were going to say, but yeah, I really like him. But Auron's one of the ones I used. It was in my...
He's a really good character whose developmental arc goes nowhere. And by the end of the game, Tidus is ignoring hard shell, soft shell.
Yeah.
And so you have Tidus who's hitting faster and hitting for just as much damage.
Yeah.
You have Waka who's hitting from a distance and causing status elements.
Yep.
And both of them are filling the roles that Auron fills. So...
in all fairness, in all defense of him, he was kind of dead. Spoiler alert, but it's a little late. He was a little on the dead side.
It was hinted at the moment he shows back up.
I didn't catch it, but I'm also dense, that kind of thing. So...
But the 10 is a marvelous game. It's full of colorful characters outside of that atrocious laughing scene. Ha 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 ha.
Oh god.
And then we go into 10-2.
Had fun combat.
It had really fun combat.
It had Riku in a really cool outfit.
It had the most fun combat in a Final Fantasy I had played up to that point. Because it had comboing systems, and it had interrupting systems, and if the timings of the attacks went off right, you could literally prevent attacks from happening.
I think it was also Final Fantasy's shot at Sailor Moon because they loved making them transform back and forth. I just kept expecting Yuna to go, in the name of the moon, I punish you. Just saying. But, I mean...
It was a chance to play dress up, but there was some really... But it still had the core... The story is weak.
Oh, very.
Because you get pretty much all of it in a 5-minute cutscene in the middle.
Yeah, I don't think I made it that far.
Final Fantasy X2 story is, go here, catch this, go here, get this, go here, get this, go here, get this. A little bit of story, little bit of story, little bit of story. You hit that concert in the middle, and that music video tells more story in 5 minutes than the game does in 32 hours.
Yeah. The opening cutscene was really cool. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, the opening cutscene was really cool. I liked how there was actual subtle differences in the Yuna that's on stage versus the Yuna that shows up later.
Yep.
I also like the fact that 10-2's... again, 10-2's combat's good. Mm-hmm. They tried something different by introducing a stoic character, which...
Pain?
Yeah, Pain.
Yeah.
But I like the fact that we still got Hyper Riku. I am still baffled by the choice to have Brother be obsessed with Yuna. They're cousins, and...
Oh, I forgot about that.
And he's like completely and utterly obsessed with her. And it's not like they're distant cousins, because Riku is literally like one family member removed.
I've forgotten about that, too. Brother was off his fucking rocker, though, too, for the record.
He was.
He was completely nuts. And, I mean, yeah, she finally, I've seen the cutscene, she does get Titus back in the end, but it's a lot to go through. And you have to get 100% to get that.
Yeah, you do.
And that's a big old load of, no, thank you.
And it's just 10 is good. 10-2 has a 10-2 would have been better if there was more of a narrative driving what was going on. There needed to be more of a narrative.
Yeah.
The narrative gets lost in the shuffle, and that is what hurts it.
Just gonna leave it.
Whether you want to admit it or not.
It was a good game, except for Seymour Asshole of Yevon. That guy was a douchebag. And yes, I said Asshole of Yevon.
He was more of a final boss than the final boss. Well, I don't know. Jack was kind of actually hard. It was the first Final Fantasy final boss that just rapes you. Just
Yevon,
flat out rapes you.
Yevon wasn't really a final.
Yep.
Cast Zombie. Done.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. And that basically sums up those two games, kids.
But
that's it.
Again, 10 good. 10-2. Okay, not bad. It's fun to play, but the storyline is lost. But
in translation,
but fair warning: if you play 10 and you don't know what you're doing, when you get to Jack will kill you in one shot.
Yeah, he can't do that, can he?
His second form does do that.
I forget. It's been.